Welcome back to my channel. I'm Joe, Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. On today's video, I'm smoking up a bacon wrapped pork loin on my 22-inch Weber kettle. Stay tuned. All right, before we get started on the pork loin, I'm also going to be testing out this meat stick. I just got this in and been messing with the app a little bit, learning how to use it. Super excited because this is your temperature probe. No more wires, no more cables. It also has an application that you can use. I'm using a portable battery pack to power up the bridge. And what this bridge does, it extends a signal pretty much from the smoker to your cell phone or anywhere around your house. So the app is real simple to use. Hopefully you guys can see this. But I'm just going to select, since I'm going to be smoking, I do have the option of quick start grilling, in the oven, smoke. You can also do the sous vide, so you can submerge this in water if you wanted to as well. So I'm going to smoke today. I'm smoking some pork loin, and here is the pork. You have the option between the pork loin, which is a really large pork loin, and this is a tenderloin that I'm going to be smoking here. You can see they're 1.5 to 2 pounds. This one is actually 2.17 pounds. So the nice thing about this is that you can select the target temperature, which is 145 degrees, the target ambient temperature. I actually want to smoke that about 275. So I'm going to increase that to 275. It's just got a simple wheel here. 275, hit OK. And that's it. So what this does is it measures the temperature about 1.5 inches in, but they want you to make sure that you put the probe all the way in to the meat, all the way to this tip right here. So I'll make sure that I do that. It also has the ambient temperature sensor on the tip of this probe. So that's going to measure my pit temperature, and it's also going to calculate more or less how long it's going to take for that pork tenderloin to be ready. So pretty excited about this. I've been wanting to get this for quite some time. I finally got it in, so I'm going to be using that in my cook today. I'll let you guys know how it performs, obviously. So let's get to our pork loin. As far as the pork loin goes, I'm going to do a bacon weave, and pretty simple process. What you want to do is just lay out your bacon nice and flat, and the amount of bacon is based on whatever it is that you're going to wrap, okay? So this tenderloin is probably 1 foot long. So let me see, we have 4 pieces there. We have 5. That's not quite enough. We have 6, almost. 7 should do it. So you want your bacon nice and tight, okay? Just like this. Now what you want to do is you want to peel some of them back about probably 1 inch from the end. And at this point, this is thick cut bacon, okay? So you want to lay that bacon down. If it's not long enough, you can stretch the bacon. Okay, so stretch it. Then lay them over, just like that, and pull your other ones back. Just like this. Okay, so once you pull those back, lay another strip of bacon, nice and tight. Real simple process. I'm going to stretch this piece of bacon out a little bit. Okay, and again, just keep repeating those steps. I'll lay one more, then I'll do the rest off camera. Stretch out your bacon. Okay. Oops. And fold it out. Just like that. So I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, and I'll bring you guys back, so stay tuned. All right, so I've got my bacon weave done here, and the next step is to go ahead and grab your pork loin. Now, this is one that I purchased from the store that was already seasoned. This has an Asiago peppercorn seasoning on it, so I'm not going to use any seasoning on this video, believe it or not. But I will look at the bottom of this fat cap and just kind of remove something that, that's hanging like this. Actually, I'm going to remove this whole piece of fat here. Because of the bacon, I don't need all this extra fat on there. It comes off pretty easy. Just use a good sharp knife. Leave some of it on there, but try to take most of this off. That's about right. So this is going to be the bottom of my pork loin here. Now I did transfer the bacon onto some wax paper. I just lifted it up and put some wax paper on there. That's going to make it easier for you to wrap. And at this point, just lift up your wax paper on one side and flip it over the pork loin. Just like this. Go ahead and roll it over. Okay, nice and tight. Go ahead and lift up your wax paper, making sure the bacon doesn't stick. And there you have it. Beautiful wrapped pork loin. It's that simple. These edges, just kind of stuff them in there, tuck them in. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's bacon. This is really thick cut bacon as well. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and fire up my Weber kettle. Again, I'm using my Weber 22-inch kettle today. I'll see you guys outside. Stay tuned. All right, we're outside with my Weber kettle, and I just put the pork loin in. As far as the charcoal goes, I'm using Fogo's premium lump charcoal. That charcoal is amazing, gives a good flavor to the food. I'm not gonna have to put any chips or anything. In fact, I don't need to, because the flavor that comes off that Fogo charcoal is absolutely amazing. So as far as the probe for the meat stick, I do have a temperature below. So if my temperature falls below 225, I wanna be alerted. And also if my temperature goes above, it says 285 here, I'm just gonna change that to 300. This is my ambient temperature, obviously. Hope you guys can see that. Let me see here. There we go. So I'm gonna hit OK, hit the next. It's gonna process. And I do have my Wi-Fi bridge sitting over here to the right, probably 5-6 feet away from this probe. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and put the probe in on the far end of the loin, right down the middle of it, all the way in. Okay, and that's going to leave the ambient sensing probe right here exposed. It's not over charcoal. Just be very careful. Obviously, you don't want to put this right above the charcoal, because that charcoal can get really, really hot. So at this point, just going to monitor my temperatures. Let me see if I can get a quick reading. All right, my pork tenderloin right now is at 58 degrees, and it says the ambient temperature is 90 degrees. But again, that's because I just put it on. So at this point, just going to cover up my Weber 22-inch kettle. And I'm putting the exhaust on top of the pork loin. That way the smoke travels over the pork loin and comes out this way. So temperature that I'm looking for is 275. So we'll check back in about 30 minutes. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I just wanted to come back for a few minutes and talk about this meat stick. Number one, I don't like it. Okay, and let me tell you the reason why. So for the last 15 minutes, I had that probe, and the ambient temperature probe right now is reading 221 degrees, and I hope you guys can see that. So it's reading 221 degrees, and I knew something wasn't right. So I got my Inkbird thermometer, and this one is reading 327 degrees. Okay, so right out of the gate, I don't like this meat stick because it's off. The temperature's off. It did disconnect from my Bluetooth, and it took about 5 minutes to connect again, so I didn't know what the temperature was. So I came outside and looked at the bridge, and thankfully that still had the temperature, but it was a wrong temperature. So, and just to be fair, okay, the meat stick is in there. You can see where the Inkbird thermometer is right down on the grate, so they're really close to each other. Okay, so I'm sorry, meat stick, but this thing is not accurate. Okay, so I'm going to terminate the use of the meat stick. Obviously, I can tell you it's not reliable because the ambient temperature, it's still reading 220, 221. Now it has gone up a little bit, but nowhere near the 320 degrees that my Inkbird is reading. And I trust my Inkbird because I've used it before. Okay, so just want to be honest, you know, and on this review, that this thing is not, it's not working. Okay, could it be a defective probe? Yes, it can. It can be, but at this point, I'm not going to continue to use it. I'm just going to go grab another probe and put that other probe inside the tenderloin, and I'll just use my Inkbird from this point on. So stay tuned. All right, so now that we got good readings, I'm at 140 degrees. This is an hour and 20 minutes into it. I'm going to go ahead and put some sauce into it on top of the pork loin. This is the Kosmos Q OP X-1 sauce, and this is my new found sauce, my favorite sauce. One of my favorite sauces, I should say. It's so good. It's got some good flavor to it, so I'm just going to apply a thin coat of this. And again, we only have about 5 more degrees and this thing is ready to go. It's looking really, really good. All right, guys, 5 more degrees, probably another 10 minutes or so. And this bad boy is ready. See you guys inside. All right, so the pork loin is ready, and the total cook time was an hour and 40 minutes to get to 145. I had it resting for probably 15 minutes. I want to show you something. Look at all these juices from it just sitting there. Okay, so that's what 145 degrees will do for you. Now, it probably got to 150, maybe a little bit higher than that, but I pulled it at 145. So let's slice into it. And again, I did put some of that Kosmos Q OP X-1 sauce on top of it. And this looks really good. Oh man, look at that. Nice little smoke ring, nice and juicy. I don't know if you guys can see all these juices that are coming out of this pork loin. Look at this. Oh my. Good little smoke ring. See the juices running out of there? Absolutely amazing. Nice little smoke ring there. Really juicy. Got juices overflowing over here. I'm gonna get a couple more slices and we'll give it a taste. Stay tuned. All right, let's grab a slice of this pork loin and see how we did here. I gotta tell you, this smells absolutely delicious and amazing. Oh man. Nice little smoke ring as well. Hopefully you guys can see it on the camera. Man. The herbs that they used on the pork loin. You know, I've never bought one of those pre-packaged or pre-seasoned pork loins, but this was $6 compared to the $10 for the unseasoned, untrimmed pork loin, and they were exactly the same size. So I figured I was going to give it a shot. So those peppercorns that they used on that seasoning is absolutely delicious. The bacon, you know the bacon's good smoked, and then that sauce, that Kosmos Q OP X-1 sauce is absolutely delicious, real nice and savory, goes great on pork. So, you know, overall really happy with this pork loin. You know, again, we did have a hiccup with the meat stick. Not sure what's going on with it, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. You know, I don't want you guys to run into any issues. Thank God I had my Inkbird, my old trusty Inkbird. And, you know, when this said 145, I actually pulled out my Thermometer right here and I checked it, okay? And this was reading 145. So I gotta tell you, this Inkbird, pretty damn accurate, okay? So I trust this. This is my checker. This is what I check temperature with on everything, regardless of what temperatures I'm using, wireless thermometers, etc. That Thermometer actually is my go-to for temperature checking. But again, the meat stick, unfortunately, it looks like a good product. Not sure if I got a defective probe or what's going on, but I wasn't happy because obviously it didn't work, and I had to keep the lid on my Weber kettle off for a while till I got everything else hooked up, or my Inkbird hooked up. So unfortunately, that didn't turn out well but this pork loin did. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Until next time, Joe is Smokin Joe's Pit Barbecue. See ya. All right. All right. All right. So, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi.